I've solved the abortion crisis. God wanted to be exceptions. I know the far right will come after me. I really don't care. This is the problem with going to seminary school to learn God's word. That's what's led everybody astray. So God was about the spirit. God was about the spirit. A baby cannot, so basically everybody's born into sin, really, because of the flesh. The flesh is an automatic. We naturally will give into the flesh. Okay? But then when saved by God, then what happens is then you're operating under, you're no longer under the law. The law, God's law, not the law of the land. God's law was created as a curse, really. God says it in the Bible. Galatians is a wealth of book of Galatians is a wealth of information, but a lot of it you really have to take to God and study and pray about it. So God talks about Abraham had 2 sons, one from a woman that he was just involved with for flesh reasons, because that's a lot of them did that back then, and then his wife. So God said one was born of promise and the other was born into slavery. Now, people would say, no, God loved all the children. Okay, but no, they can't. The children have to be able to be at an age when they can make those decisions. I'm going to get into more of this later on because I know it's very confusing, but it's in the Bible. Isaac, like Isaac, are children of promise, but just as at that time he who was born according to the flesh persecuted him who was born according to the Spirit, so also it is now. Cast out the slave woman and her son, for the son of the slave woman shall not inherit the son of the free woman. That's not saying God's trying to, my point, God's not trying to say kill all the babies born in slavery or by a slave woman. What I'm trying to say is this is where I think, because it goes on, before I say anything else, let me show this verse. Under the law, do not listen. Okay, for it is written that Abraham had 2 sons, one by a slave woman and one by a free woman. But the son of the slave was born according to the flesh, while the son of the free woman was born through promise. Now, this may be interpreted allegorically. Do you know what that means, allegorically? It means a hidden sacred message. These women are 2 covenants. One is from Mount Sinai, bearing children for slavery. She is Hagar. Now, Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia. She corresponds to the present Jerusalem, for she is in slavery with her children. But the Jerusalem above is free, and she is our mother, for it is written. I'll explain this more later. I don't have time to go further into it right now, but this is very important. Because the hidden message here is God trying to say, this is why God said, don't lean on your own understanding. You just assume that I would never be for exceptions with abortion. Yes, he would. But this world leans on its own understanding because it went to seminary school. It doesn't mean that God dislikes one of the babies or anything. What it means is that it was okay to have exceptions. Because ultimately, the life that Jesus cared about the most was the life of the Spirit. So if the mother is raped or somebody who's raped who decides to end the pregnancy, and I don't mean being irresponsible about it, but end the pregnancy, or a child incest is committed, then God is okay with that, because in those cases, because if it was conceived in the flesh, then there should be a choice. Somebody was raped, because God was not about the flesh. He was about the Spirit. It's where everybody gets it mixed up. That doesn't mean he just wants babies killed, but if they are created from the flesh, it should be up to the family or the mother, and at a responsible stage is what I'm saying. Because what God cared about is the flesh didn't matter to God as much as the Spirit. So either way, the Spirit would still, and I think if the woman decides to go on to have it, then God would consecrate that, and okay, then they will go on like everyone else, and one day have to know me in order to be, a son or daughter of mine. Because you can't, as a baby, you're just a child. You can't make those decisions. You're not at it. That's why we end up under all this slavery, by the way, is because we don't biblically mature. I've been saying this for a long time. People need to biblically mature and stop thinking all your churches know what they're talking about. They don't. Jesus, what most of his life was about was it's about the Spirit. That's what's more important. So even though this whole world will tell you till God comes back that he would never support abortion, yes, he would. Most especially when a woman is raped or violated, or a child is violated and gets pregnant, God would see that as that was a child that was conceived through flesh, not through promise. It doesn't mean they can't have it. It just means that's where allegorically the spiritually hidden message is, that God would support exceptions, reasonable exceptions.